Hello, Proxy Table Gaming, PTG, Hyper-G, and Lucky Six's return for yet another battle report.
Yes, we do, baby. We're in practice land.
We are, yeah. We kind of left it a bit late doing our practice. This was literally like the week before, and we knew we were only getting one in before list submission. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, we did know we were practicing a bit more after list submission, but it is somewhat too late by that point. But yeah, we crack on at the club. We are trying to do a monthly game at the club, actually, aren't we? When we can now, which is good. So
yeah,
you did see during the previous bat rep that Lucky Sixes faced Paul, while I in the background faced Tony. And Tony basically took Vermin Swarms.
Yeah, very interesting. So I think he's looking to start that up. And he's actually been looking at Vermin Swarms a little while and trying to do lists, even before the book was done. And so I think there's a bit of history with Tony and Vermin Swarms wanting to get back into that.
I think so. Although somewhat surprisingly, he did just take Marcus's list from ETC. Whether that's surprising or not, I mean, obviously Marcus's list probably has been thought about long and hard.
It's as good as any, right? ETC England, Vermin Swarm player, and Marcus to boot. So
exactly.
Although, can you really do a spicy list that justice?
Well, that's it. You might get your mouth burnt. Really,
right.
If you're not actually the original spice. So
maybe that's what it is. But
hey. So we also played Refuse Flank, which is funny. I didn't actually know that at the time. Didn't look over. But we were Capture the Flags, which is a bit different to your Hold the Centre. That means in my last two battles against Tony and against Paul, I've played Capture the Flags. And as has now been pointed out, my Saurian list mirrored my Orc list, and I do have the multiple units of cavalry that are objective grabbers. So in the Capture the Flag scenario, they are stay alive and don't give away objective grabbers. So,
which on a diagonal actually is pretty nice because you can just whack them at the back.
Absolutely, if necessary, yeah. Although I didn't quite do that to begin with. So, yeah. All right, let's see. What am I going to take at Cardiff? You will be relatively familiar with this, loyal viewers, because I took a very similar version of this to Art of War in early 2022, and did rather well with it. I came 9th, which is my best tournament ever.
It is.
And so, I very much enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, winning helps you enjoy things. Let's not beat around the bush there. So I've tweaked it a little bit. But I will go through it from the top because this is obviously a new set of battle reports. So we have Orc Warlord, Shagger the Heartless, General Feral Orc with paired weapons, blessed inscriptions, light armor, essence of Mithril, Crown of the Wizard King, and Potion of Swiftness. He's exactly the same as he was before. So basically, you've got 5 very decent attacks with like offensive skill 7, I think he is, and then blessed inscriptions let him reroll to wound with divine attacks.
See a lot of demons.
Nice. Exactly, and I think actually one of the things that you can't see on paper is battle focus.
Yeah,
with Feral Orcs, it's amazing. Like if you're hitting on 3s or maybe 2s with battle focus, you can really increase those attacks if you roll decently on your hits. And also the Potion of Swiftness to improve his agility, of course. Crown of Wizard King, I just love that item so much. The number 1 learn spells are so good.
Yeah.
And at Art of War, I definitely got the right spells for each battle, so that helped. Anyway, moving on. Goblin Witch Doctor. He's the only Goblin character that now remains on a chariot. I think giving a Goblin Witch Doctor a chariot is a great way of just improving his stats. It's only like a 30-point upgrade. He gets an extra 2 HP, extra 1 armor, movement, light troops, all sorts. So yeah, I think it's great. And sticking with witchcraft, he has now got Alchemist Alloy, just for a little extra pip of armor, because I haven't got the BSB Goblin in there anymore, so I can't. The wounds are a little bit easier to put on the wizard.
And who cares about offensive skill, right?
Well, absolutely. When
He's
you're,
a goblin.
the only attacking they're going to be doing is if they can rely on impact hits. So, because I have still got I've got 2 goblin chariots to go along with it. So it's still a unit 3, and I'll still be using the beautiful models that Gobbo painted for me. I have slightly shifted around the magic items on my wizards. So Magical Heirloom and Rod of Battle is on the Witch Doctor. That's so that all 4 of his spells are not missiles, basically. So he doesn't need line of sight whatsoever in order to cast or to be anywhere near the enemy. He just needs to be near my ferals, essentially.
Sure.
The Orc Shaman is still Pyromancy. He's now gained Obsidian Rock, so the ferals will have magic resistance too. And as I say, he's got Lightning Band Braces instead because he's the one in the front of the ferals where he has got line of sight and range. Paired weapons as well, just because, with battle focus, even 3 attacks on a shaman, it's all good.
Yeah.
And we're Born to Fight as well. The Orc Chief is a new addition to replace the Goblin Chief. The Feral Orc goes in with the Ferals. He's the BSB with a Binding Scroll. I toyed between Binding Scroll and Green Tide. You advised Binding Scroll, I think it was.
I did.
And yeah, I'm going to try Binding Scroll for the first time in about 4.5 years. So we'll see how that goes. The Goblin Chief on the Scuttler Spider, he remains. Did we used to have a name for him? I can't remember what it was. But maybe remind me of the name.
Surely Scuttle. If it's not Scuttle, there's
something like that. Yeah. Exactly, yeah. The Feral Orcs are exactly the same. Oh no, they're not exactly the same. They've lost their shields. Those 6 so shields.
What?
I know. What can you believe?
And they're still 925 points.
Yeah, they're completely naked. Yeah.
Whoa,
it's crazy, isn't it? But what it does mean is I can get that unit of 4 boys in core with all sorts of upgrades that they don't need just to hit core, basically, and that's what I've done instead, really. There's the 2 Wolf Chariots. I got then the 3 units of Mounted Air Bashers. One's Common Orc, so they have 2 up armor save, which is really cool. And the other 2 are Feral Orcs with just Musician and Light Lancers. Still pretty deadly if they get the right combat. The 10 Nasher Herd, the Wrecking Teams, the Raiders, and the Gargantula, all the same as they were before. So not a lot of changes overall, really. It's the same sort of shape, just BSB's moved.
Tried and tested.
Ferals. Yeah, pretty much.
And you chose this because Saurians weren't quite out in time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, obviously we've done the Saurian book review. They weren't out in time for list submission.
Yeah,
which is totally fine.
Like a week. It was
yeah, really close. So cool. Let's have a look at Tony's list. His Vermin Swarms. I mean, obviously, as I say, he has basically copied it from an ATC list from Marcus, which is cool. 2 Swarm Priests, Witchcraft and Thaumaturgy. He's got a Binding Scroll himself as well, and the Thaumaturgy's got the Book of Arcane. The Holy Triumvirate Khaleesian Pantheon, I mean, they're intimidating rules to read, but they essentially mean he's got a lot of choice over what spells he's taking.
Yeah.
Really, within his paths. So there's that. The Vermin Senator with Pistol, Senatorial Litter, so it increases his discipline range, I think, or something like that. It was still 12 in some certain, I don't know, something like that. Crown of the Wizard King for himself as well. Can't remember what Cowl of the Apostate does. Is that the one that lets you hide in units? No, it can't be because he's on a mount. Anyway, I mean, I knew almost as little as Tony did on this one.
And I know even less.
Yeah, exactly. So the Cowl didn't come up as anything important, so I'm assuming it's nothing much.
Okay.
The House Prefect is really cool. He also had Pistol with the Redentium bullets, which just gives an extra pip of spiciness. Maybe that's the spice.
Maybe that's the spice.
To the pistol shots. But the House Prefect is really cool. He's got the Stygian Overseer choice option and Map of the Deeps. And those 2 combined are so good because that means that, I'm not sure which is which, you can move a tunnel marker 6 inch at the end of the shooting phase. At the start of the shooting phase, I've done that the wrong way around, forgive me. At the start of the movement phase, you can blow one up.
All right, cool.
And it causes damage to everything within 6 inches.
Nice. So you can either move it or blow it up?
No, you can do both.
Oh, okay.
start. So I'll do it in the right order this time because it's easy to explain.
Sure.
At the start of the shooting phase, you can blow one up and do damage to everything within 6 inches. At the end of the shooting phase, you can move one 6
Right.
inches.
Okay. Cool. And presumably, if you blow one up, it's gone though.
Yes, it is gone.
So
Yes. And you start with 2. Every vermin swarm's got 2 tunnel markers.
So it's a little bit like a vermin version of the Warriors Hellmore thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly like that. He's also got 3 Duskblade Assassins.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, if you know the rules for Duskblade Assassins, you already know what I'm going to say next. That means my killy characters are dead before they strike. If I fight a unit with 3 Duskblade Assassins in, Shagger bye-bye. You know?
Shagger bye-bye.
Exactly, and that's even with Potion of Agility.
Come on, mate, this is a PC video. Ready?
Is it?
I don't know. I don't know where we fall. Yeah.
We had Tommy on last week, surely not. Anyway, so yeah, into core, he's got 41 Black Fur veterans. I believe, he's got another unit of Black Fur veterans, but they go into special because of the Blood Fur Praetorian upgrade.
Sure, yeah.
One of them's got halberds, one of them's got great weapons. They've both got Eagle Standard, one Stalkers, one Rending. I can't remember which is which. So
I think the Blood Fur Praetorians are great weapons. I got that in my head.
Yeah, sure. They both have like line formation and like it's not bus formation, but you know what I mean. Rules that give them bonuses when they're in different formations, but neither of them came up in this battle. Maybe because I wasn't shooting at them.
Sure, like cover and things like that. Okay.
Yeah, there is something they get extra.
Things, sure.
Yeah. To fill out core, he's got 25 Vermin Legionnaires. That's basically his bunker for info, so it's banner of discipline. Then 2 Vermin Slayers with tunneling tools. That ups his tunnel markers from 2 to 4. So really cool.
Sweet.
Bearing in mind that they're moving, the tunneling markers are moving and they're blowing up.
So I guess this is
really cool.
a tunneling focused list, kind of.
I would say rather than the word tunneling, it's more of a minefield focused list.
Sure.
Because he hasn't got units popping up out of these tunnels. He's
Okay.
using them as mines.
Sure.
So yeah. 2 Doomspark devices, 2 lots of 3 experimental weapon teams. They're the D5 thrower, which is flamethrowers. So 3 salamanders in one go, basically. For 185 points. What the F?
So is that for each one? It's if they all hit, then it's 66, or no, D6 plus D3, but for each one.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
For 185 points.
What strength and stuff is the?
Strength 4, AP 1.
Whoa. See you later, elves.
Not happy. No. Yeah. So there you go. And then 3 units of Ignifier Grenadiers. They are multiple shots too. Strength 6, AP 3. Again, what the FNF?
Strength 6 shooting, man. Yeah, no, wicked.
And they're accurate and quick to fire, just so that they hit on 5s. Yes, they are only hitting on 5s, but that's because there's no modifiers. So, yeah, ouch. I mean, looking at this list, I just look at it and think, like, I'm close to you, I'm dead. If I stay away from you, your tunnels are blowing me up.
Good list design, really.
Anywhere in your side of the board.
Yeah.
So that's literally on the deployment line, or not on the deployment line, in the center, especially in huge flank. So I was scared out of my brain looking at this list, because if my only thing I got going is my ferals, and the characters would be dead before they struck against the assassins. So yeah, I didn't know how I was going to deal with this.
Where can the assassins pop up? Is it any of the infantry?
Sure, any of the scoring units. So Black Fur veterans, Vermin legionaries, or the Black Fur veterans.
But slaves aren't scoring.
No, slaves are definitely not scoring. I don't think you definitely can't pop in slaves. I'm not sure what the wording is, but no, it was one of those 3 units.
Fair enough. Good. It's a lot of models, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my days, it's a lot of models.
Yeah. Here we go. So this was before I got Tony to pose. This was after.
Very nice.
Yeah. So don't be fooled. He is proxying. Good man. he is proxying Empire models as Vermin. So yeah, there are 2 steam tanks on the board. I don't know whether I'd have preferred steam tanks over Doomspike devices, but no, probably not. And you can see the tunnel markers are already out, all 4 of them.
Yeah, wow.
So they are mines. They do actually go down before deployment, so it's not like you can't deploy around them, but still.
So if you're within how much they blow you up?
6 inches. 6
Whoa,
inches.
that's a big radius.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, definitely.
Interesting to know if anybody does play Vermin Swarms watching this. Is it better to do it, spread them out like this, or just go all for the ferals?
Sure,
Do you have to keep them apart?
Oh, no, he didn't know my ferals were there, though.
Sure. Oh, you do. Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
So, yeah, but still, if you put them all in one place and you can move them.
Yeah, you put them in the middle and then 6 inch, 6 inch, 6 inch towards the unit.
Do you have to separate them?
Oh, well, you can only blow up one at a time as well, though.
Okay.
So you can't do 4d6 blow up at one go.
So it's probably best like
arguably, yeah.
But how do you put your mines down or tunnel markers?
Yeah, I'd love to know. People? Yeah, absolutely. You'll also notice I'm proxying a bit because Gobbo is finishing off my ferals. Actually, not in time for this tournament to come, actually, but he currently has them. So I'm proxying with some extra models. And some pictures of Tony's army. It's beautiful. You know, I mean, I know that he's proxying Empire as Vermin, but yeah, they're just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
He's such a good. I think he's a really underrated painter, Tony. And Paul to a certain extent, actually.
Yeah. Well, both of them. Yeah, it's the detail
really good.
Yeah, just appreciate those for a couple of seconds. I got first turn. I think I'd probably drop for first turn.
But for some reason, I feel like I know what 6 inches from there is.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. Yes, I am 6 inches away from that tunneling marker. And it's just kind of like a general advance with my chaffy raiders and my ferals. Remember, it is capture the flags. Am I actually going to put any of those units near Tony's army? Let's see. The Gargantua is hiding behind a hill, sort of.
Oh, right. That's a big hill, yeah.
So that is a handy little thing because Tony's slaves were not on the hill, not yet. Sorry, I didn't even tell you what Tony's units were. Jeez. The ones in this picture, I didn't tell you what my units were either, but they're kind of, yeah. We'll get there. We'll go back to that as we go. But on this Tony's side, right to left, you've got a Doomspark as a steam tank. You've got the Flamethrower, experimental weapon teams. This big unit, huge unit of 60 models, is slaves. Then you have got the Legionnaires in a small unit of 25 to their left. Behind them is one of the Black Fur veteran units. Again, I'm not sure which is which, great weapons or halberds. The big unit further on to the left is the other Black Fur veterans. You've got all the Ignifiers in the back corner. So Tony has kind of cornered. And I was delighted to see the Ignifiers there. Absolutely delighted. He was more scared of my Pyro destroying them than I was. Well, it meant he valued keeping the Ignifiers alive over killing my Gargantua.
Sure, yeah.
And that is a great result for me.
What's the range on those things?
I think it might be 8.
Okay, so there's.
I hope it's 8. I hope it's 8 as opposed to 12. But yeah, it's not high. 8 is exactly right. I think they've got movement 5, match 10, 8. Yeah. I'll explain the other side of Tony's when we see it hopefully shortly. I think in terms of my boar units, the metal models, which are just so heavy and are very not painted properly, are the common orcs, so the ones with armor. Sure. And the core unit is the Saurian Raptors, the 2 Feral Bashers of the Hobgoblin units, or what will be Hobgoblin units, maybe, in the future. Yeah. Over the other side, so yeah, we can talk about the rest of Tony's first. You got the slaves on the left, the Praetorians, and the other experimental weapon teams, and and the Doomspark. For me, the wrecking teams, I can't go backwards with them. So I've got to go through the tunneling markers if I'm going to get close.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping Tony wouldn't blow that one up by putting my Gargantua on another one and the ferals in range of the other one. I used my Relentless to get so far up with the ferals.
Yeah.
Relentless banner to get in his face straight away.
Sure.
And yeah, I was really hoping that if I tempt Tony by putting the ferals and the Gargantua on a tunneling marker, maybe he won't blow up the wrecking teams.
Yeah, sure.
Is it a false hope? We'll see. Yeah. So and the Chariot's just chilling out. Scuttler, or whatever you called him, is looping round. My magic was a bust, which this one indicates. I got the number 1 phase and didn't cast anything. So
All right, fair enough.
Not a problem, really. I mean, my pyro wasn't in range of anything juicy, so I couldn't do a lot with it anyway. I would have liked to blaze on the Doomspark, but still. Tony moves as such. He gets his first slot of flamethrowers in range of my Feral Orcs, and he moves his Doomspark as far as he can down the flank. Interestingly, he couldn't get out of my line of sight. Was that something I planned? Maybe not. But fortunately, he couldn't. So yay me for getting lucky there.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't make sure of that. Yeah. He gets behind the obstacle with his legionary unit and just does a bit of shuffling. I think Tony might have regretted fairly soon boxing himself in so much.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of models in a very small corner, and he couldn't do a lot with much of his stuff. What he could do, though, of course, was spread out his flamethrower and his Doomspark to meet the oncoming traffic. So, right. Didn't tempt him enough.
It's too juicy. It's too juicy.
Yeah,
that,
it is too juicy. I mean, to some extent, with them going a random distance, I couldn't guarantee where I was going to end up anyway. But what I will say is that there's an extra factor which meant his tunnel marker minefields were even more effective than they should have been. And that is Tony didn't get the rule right, and I didn't know otherwise.
Okay.
In this battle, and it does become quite a big thing, Tony moved the markers at the start of the movement phase and blew them up at the start of the shooting phase. Which basically means if you're within 12 inches of the marker, you can be blown up. Sure. That's incredibly overpowered, and it's wrong. So I was up against it in the fact that there was literally no getting away from these markers.
Sure. But either way, they could have just blown them up.
But either way,
on
this occasion, he easily could have just killed those. But because he was able to move the one that was nearest the wrecking teams within 6 inches of the ferals, he killed 3 ferals as well as them.
Sure.
But anyway, I'm 2 wrecking teams down, so wow. Then the flamethrowers opened up, and I lost 12 feral orcs. That is a third of my unit.
Brutal.
Obviously, I know salamanders can do that, but salamanders were, before the new book, they were 170 points for 1. This is 185 points for 3.
Very nice. Very nice.
I don't really understand that at all. And
what's the range?
Say, well, 12, I think.
So same
more than salamanders.
Is it more?
Well, let's not worry about salamanders anymore because they've changed.
Yeah.
But I don't get those points at all. And Vermin players might quickly say, "Oh, well, if you roll a 1, you're going to hit yourself, blow yourself up." Correct. But rolling a 1 is only a 1 in 6 chance.
Do they?
Is that really?
So for each one of them that does it, they would die, right?
Effectively, the amount of backlash they would get, it would kill each model individually.
So
for rolling a 1,
they would panic if one of them dies.
Potentially, I guess it's a possibility if you're not in the leadership bubble or whatever.
Yeah. So I guess, but I mean,
oh yeah,
it's
still for 15 points more. Considering you get 3 of them for that.
So effectively, that was 3d6 plus 3, 6, 9,
it would have been
12d3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it hit every model. It hit every model. It literally, the cap was 35 plus characters.
Yeah,
it's 38 maximum hits. He hit every model.
Fair play.
So,
fair play.
Or near
a
enough,
wave of
absolutely. So
fiery fury.
I didn't necessarily think I could fight him anyway.
Strength 4 as well. If you're hitting 35
let me double
models,
check that, because the more I say that, the more I think I'm wrong. Was it really strength 4? I mean, he killed a lot anyway, so he rolled well if it's not strength 4. But if it's strength 4, it makes sense. Deep fire thrower. Oh yeah, because trial and terror, which is a way you can upgrade it. Oh yeah, so if you don't use the trial and terror, then I think it doesn't do the misfires on ones or something like that.
Right. Okay.
But if you do the trial and terror, the range goes down to 12 inches, starts at 18, and the strength is set to 4.
So
but it is still
18 and strength 3.
Yeah.
Or 12 and strength 4.
Blowing yourself up on ones.
What APs?
0 for both.
0 for both. So there's at least AP 0 for it, but yeah.
Brutal,
man. Brutal. Showing the devastation.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Yeah. So there's that, yeah. But obviously on ferals, when you haven't got any armor, you're probably asking for trouble when you're going into AP 0. So
yeah, man.
Anywho, there's that. This is an indication of the Doomspark doing me a favour by not following up, by doing any damage. So thank you, Doomspark. I appreciate it. I'll show you my appreciation in a few moments. The other flamethrower, the other flamethrower completely tapped out and killed one spider. So go figure.
There you go.
Really weird. I mean, I think it was like,
one unit does weird. 12 feral hooks. The other does one spider.
Exactly, yeah. I think basically it was limited to a max of 5 hits because I only had 5 models in the unit. But yeah, basically he was wounded on 3s and rolled 4 1s and 2s.
But presumably he's more than 12 inches away here.
Maybe that is true. Yeah, maybe it was strength 3, and also I would have had a tiny bit of armor on them, funnily enough. So yeah, they did all right. Not even a panic test there. Yeah. And the general's nowhere near, so I was asking for trouble. And over here, the Doomspark kills 2 Goblin Raiders, and they do panic. So I'm not really that bothered. Yeah. And so what I saw here was a possible chance. I don't think we really looked at them much when we saw the picture earlier. Oh, no, it was. I charged the flamethrowers. I didn't want to go into another round of that. Yeah. Basically, I like the idea of charging the Doomspark and killing the Doomspark, but I didn't like the idea of charging and killing the Doomspark and having to go off the board in order to avoid the flamethrower. So what I thought I'd do is I'd charge the flamethrowers first. If Tony didn't flee, then I would be into the slaves' flank after killing the flamethrowers.
Sure, yeah, because you can do it.
Which is not a place that Tony wants me to be in. So Tony had to flee because of that, basically. But one thing that went even better for me was that the Ignifier Grenadiers behind the
I was going to say, as he misses
flamethrowers fled off the board. So yeah, really cool.
Nice. 2 in 1 from a flee. And then did you redirect?
I did redirect into the Doomspark.
Nice.
I think in Tony's magic phase, he put the hereditary spell in front of the ferals, which is why 1 orc died on the way in.
Sure.
Because that's kind of a bit like a minefield as well. Like rat spawn just bites and claws at you for 3d6 strength, 2 hits or something or other.
Yeah, sure.
And so, yeah, I lost a feral on the way in. I looked at that picture for a few minutes. I was like, why did I lose a feral on the way in? I mean, it must have been because there was a hereditary in front of me.
Yeah.
Anywho, right. This was me again trying to get as far away from the tunnel markers. And bearing in mind he can move them 6 inches, likely failing. But I'm still kind of keeping up the pretense that I might come forward on that flank. It was never a possibility in my head, but I wanted to keep up the pretense to stop all his units on this flank going around to the ferals. So that's what I didn't want. I didn't want his whole army against my ferals and Gargantula. So I felt I needed to go forward a little bit to make it look like maybe I was thinking about coming forward.
Okay.
Over here, I think Scuttler just moves up and the Gargantula moves kind of diagonally backwards a bit to support the ferals. I'm basically just aggro on the left, nothing on the right is my plan.
Yeah.
Fight half his army and get as much as you can before the ferals burn out, really.
And these chariots at the back, they're just like chilling.
Just chilling. Yeah, they've only got buff spells.
Yeah.
So they don't need to be in range. They only need to be in range of the ferals. So that's fine.
Cool.
Kill the Doomspark without even striking, which is amazing. That's Shagger for you. I think Shagger did it on his own, actually.
Yeah, sure.
So good lad. And I reform like so. It would have been really easy to... I pivot like so. That's a bit of terminology, right?
Yeah, man.
It would have been really tempting to be in the slaves flank. This setup means I'm not in the slaves flank. I'm in their front.
Okay.
But what I have done is avoided the Praetorians, the Black Furs, from seeing me at all.
Sure. Yeah.
It doesn't really look massively like it in this picture, but we checked it and double checked it, and the Black Furs next to the slaves cannot see my orcs. And that was the only way I could do it. So I'm more than happy to fight the slaves in the front if that's what happens. Yeah, so there's that. So I'm happy my ferals are safe, and I've got the 3 units of Tony's.
It's close, actually, because you're only allowed to wheel 90 degrees, aren't you?
But the pivot, you can do what you like.
No, in terms of him charging you. So it might even be
I guess,
very close to the slaves being able to physically... Because first they've got to go past the...
That's true.
Blood burners.
And that's something I'm really not very good at figuring out, actually. So maybe it was an impossible charge anyway. Maybe I could have stood in the slaves' flank. But most of it was...
They would only need to touch you and obviously maximise at the point. So they would go 90 degrees, but so that might work out worse for you because it might only clip you.
Yeah, and he'd have all his combat rares. And all sorts
it depends on how far he can get in front of the blood fertilizer. It looks fine, but I guess in another world you might have been able to do that.
Yeah, I think probably inadvertently this was the safer play.
Yeah, for sure.
So I can't even remember what turn we're on. I think this is the end of my turn 2. We're going into Tony's turn 2. This is him moving his Duskblade Assassins out.
Ooh.
And I silently rejoiced. I think it's massively fair to say that Tony had not read the book very much, the Vermin book very much.
Sure.
And it's his first game with them. So I'm going to be so kind to Tony if I can, because he hadn't had a chance to look at the effectiveness of Duskblades against characters, I think.
Yeah.
And he kind of really used them more as chaff in this particular battle. And for me, as we'll see, that works out really well. You will actually see 2 Duskblade Assassins out. One is slightly above the tree in the forest, just in front of the Angela. So 2 assassins jump out of the Praetorian unit, which actually moves backwards away from the Gargantula. I was a bit worried they might go for a long charge there, and they didn't. And he chooses to chaff my units as best he can to stop my orcs getting into the slaves, because the slaves can't go anywhere because there's no room, so they've got no option except to chaff.
Yeah,
we'll take it. So this is what Tony does. He puts his flamethrowers on the hill on the right, so you can see my Nashers. And the Doomspark did think about moving towards my cavalry and threatening them and chasing them down, but I just about managed to place 2 of my cavalry in a position that Tony couldn't move the Doomspark up without giving one of the cavalry units a flank. Again, I'm going to say that's pure chance, because I didn't have any intention of going forward. So if Tony had come running after me and I stopped him by having a good counter charge, my good luck.
Yeah, sure.
Else. So he kept back. There's the 2 Duskblades just chilling out in front of my unit.
Just chilling, bro. Bring it on.
Here comes another minefield. He moved it so that it could get right in between my unit of common orcs, which had a 2-up armor save, but still 2 of them died. My spiders are eliminated by it. D6. I rolled enough of them, so their flamethrower survival didn't last long, and 4 Nashers as well. It's fine. Playing it wrong, but it's fine. The Nashers are then flamed, and 1 survives. So Yeah, see what he can do. And then, well, this is a picture. So
This is.
What I did was I opened up the Vermin book and I had a little look-see at the evil standard rules and who's in what range of what and what they get for it. Because let's say it's impossible to remember when you don't just learn it.
Yeah.
And I waited until my turn while I was reading it because I could not tell whether the Duskblade Assassins were within 18 inches of his senatorial litter general. And I think if they were within 18 inches, they would get the general's discipline.
Sure, which is like 10 or something, isn't it?
No, it's only 7. But I think, but that is higher than the assassin's discipline.
Okay.
And I think because there wasn't an eagle standard within 8 inches of either of them as well, they didn't get the minimized roll.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
And when I measured it, both assassins were more than 18 inches away from the general, with discipline 5, I think it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
so
discipline,
terror, right?
Yeah, at the highest, they're discipline 7, the whole army, and assassins are 5 or 6 anyway. And so I terrored both of them with the Gargantula.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, wow for Tony, and that's again inexperience with the book and not having a chance to read it.
Sure. Yeah.
So feel bad on that respect, but I was literally reading it when the opportunity came up. So, when he stuck his assassin in front of the Gargantula, I didn't jump around with glee and think to myself, I'm going to get you with this one. But anyway, let's go through the sequence. So, Gargantula charges the Duskblade that you can see in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
It terrors and goes like 3 inches, so not a great run from him. No, sorry, that's right. Yeah. I then redirect the Gargantula, successfully passes discipline 6, which was not guaranteed, so that is good. Although it might have been re-rollable because my BSB is on the right side of the Orcs. So
sure, yeah.
Nearly on the right side. You can see the battle standard, the horn sticking out. The general's on the far left though, so he wouldn't have been there, I don't think. And then so redirect the Gargantula into the other Duskblade, who also fails terror. And goes nearly off the board, doesn't panic the slaves, which is funny.
Yeah, right.
And so, my ferals can charge into the
slaves.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't.
Did Nasher then subsequently charge the assassin because he's already fleeing?
Yes. I declared a war cry to make it possible. I declared a war cry to make sure that I wasn't messing around. With any of these, the Nasher just got involved as well. I think, unless I took the Nasher back, I might take the Nasher back afterwards. Actually,
okay,
we'll find out what the Nasher does. But the Gargantula caught the assassin in the middle, which is great because he didn't run far. It looks like the Nasher might have took his charge back. Actually, hasn't gone far. Or maybe he just didn't run far. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
It makes sense because you didn't want the assassin to then get in the way of the Orcs for any stupid reason. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so I don't really know. But the ferals are now fighting the slaves, which is amazing.
Should be all right against slaves.
Yeah. I mean, I know strength in numbers or whatever it is still a thing with
slaves. Can slaves have a banner?
No, just a musician. Over here, I revealed the plan and bugger off with everything.
I like that's a very good plan, by the way. I like that. I like the double buff. I also like the fact that slaves are more talented in music than they are to hold a banner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Keep the spirits up, right?
I think that's hilarious. Someone's on the xylophone. Yeah, can hold a tune. But they can't hold a flagpole.
Nothing says it has to be good music.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
The slaves killed 3, surprisingly, which I think is more than they should have done. But
which is effectively 6, right? I
guess that. Yeah, pretty much. But that pile of bodies at the back is the amount that the Orcs kill.
Sure.
And so, yes, it is easily my combat. And then, poor Tony, he thinks he's getting a general's discipline minimized roll for his break test, being steadfast. And the slaves don't get the 18-inch range general. They only get the 12-inch range general, like normal.
Oh.
Because
so why is that?
I think it's because they aren't holding an Eagle standard.
Right, okay.
Or something along those lines. But we both checked the book. Why can't I remember it now? I should have had this prepared.
Eagles standard shenanigans.
Right, Eagle standard, okay. While a non-fleeing unit with one or more Eagle standards, so they don't have an Eagle standard, is within range of a friendly model's commanding presence, the unit gains rally around the flag, whose range is always 8 inches. So the slaves did get a reroll because the Eagle standard of the Black Furs is next to them. Discipline tests taken by units while within range of one or more instances of rally around the flag from Eagle standards are subject to a minimized roll. So they are getting that.
They get a minimized rerollable.
Minimized rerollable. They are getting that
because of
being
the
within
Eagle
8
standard.
inches of the Black Fur veterans with the Eagle standards. However,
which is pretty good.
That was pretty good. Yeah, it's
pretty good.
Yes, and the Vermin Senator, who was the general, it doesn't actually matter that he's mounted on the litter. I'll check that. The range of the model's commanding presence is set to 18 inches when measured 2 units with one or more models with Eagle standard. So the slaves don't benefit from the 18-inch general, and they were about 13 inches away from the general. And Tony didn't realise that didn't count for them. You should check the senatorial litter. That doesn't help. The model gains +1. That doesn't help.
So really, you should have had them the other way around in deployment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Essentially, but obviously he was cornered and all sorts. So. Yeah. So
what leadership are they?
Oh, like 2, 3.
Oh goodness.
So it was minimized. It was steadfast.
And rerollable.
And rerollable. They are.
However, I'm getting from the sense of your tone.
Yes, indeed, they ran.
Tony did not get lucky there.
They ran. And at this point, I phrased a situation. Well, me and Tony and me, we weren't sure whether I was hitting the ignifiers next to them, and if I did hit the ignifiers, would I go into the flank of the ignifiers? We called you guys over to double check it because the Duskblade Assassin that had fled was also in the way on that side.
Yeah.
And Tony, bless him, he said, "Would you mind, guys, if we could ask a rules question?" And came over and said, "Tom, would you have a look at this?" No, said, "Paul, would you have a look?" He just phrased it to the both of you.
Yeah.
And Paul started coming over, and I said, "Oh no, Tom, come over too." And unintentionally, that made it look like I didn't trust Paul.
Ooh.
And that's really not what I was going for, but I just kind of wanted everyone's opinion. It was an interesting one. I looked like a right douchebag at that. Anyway, yeah. But then after you came over and gave us the advice, which was essentially
me and Paul both agreed, to be fair.
You did. Essentially, what we said was because the ferals were hitting the Duskblade Assassin. You might explain this better because I can't remember the rule now. Because the ferals were hitting the Duskblade Assassin, they would kill the Duskblade Assassin and then stop.
Yes.
With their overrun, which meant they wouldn't hit the flank of the ignifiers.
Yeah.
However, when you guys went back to your battle, we then looked again, and it turned out the ferals were not hitting the ignifiers at all. Right. If they overran forward.
Cool.
So it didn't matter. But what it did mean is when I overran, which I needed to get out of the way of the Praetorians, or the Black Furs, whatever they are, it did mean that I did kill the Duskblade Assassin anyway. So, by overrunning into a fleeing model. So, there you go.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm now hiding next to his army, essentially. Because the unit in front of it. Yeah.
Do you not get to test to reform once you?
Well, I wasn't sure at that stage. I didn't, but
I haven't
run down a fleeing unit. Haven't you?
Yeah, so, I think if you run into a fleeing unit,
we weren't sure because it was an overrun.
Yeah.
So
I have a thing. I put it in the comments, guys. But my instinct would be to get a test to reform.
Yeah, and I mean, if I had have reformed there, that's not a great situation for Tony.
Yeah, not
but it was already going my way with things.
Right. First game rules queries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The models in front of the Gantler are not there; they're dead slaves, so don't worry about them. And then that was how it looked at the end of my turn 3. So yeah, aggro on the left is going quite well, but I have got a spider in the middle of a lot of his units.
Yeah.
So that might not go so well. Tony surprised me a lot by only charging the slaves. The Black Furs did not charge into the flank of the Gantler, and I was delighted by that. And when he worked out his slaves, unfortunately, they couldn't wheel past his deep fire throwers,
his
flame throwers very well. And what was probably even more unfortunate was that it didn't turn out to be a failed charge for that reason. He just clipped at the spider and meant you had to go through with the successful charge. I mean, technically, 10 slaves isn't going to do much to the Gantler anyway, but it's probably more than 2 slaves. And yeah, so, but really what Tony's thinking here, I assume, is that he was trying to kill the Gantler with the Ignifier Grenadiers.
I was just about to ask. So they can
it was more
do
beneficial.
That, can't they?
Yeah. It was more beneficial to not get the Black Furs in for that reason.
Yeah. Does that probably mean then that the idea behind the list is that you put the slaves up front, 12 inches from the
and then lob bombs on them,
and then lob bombs with all the shooting on the outside, to protect the flanks, I guess, and both the Blood Furs either side of your bunker.
Yeah.
How many units is it? There are 3 units of infantry in there.
3 units of scoring infantry, and 2 slaves.
Yeah, so I would imagine you go Blood Furs, slaves. You get your guy. Slaves go up. They protect the flank.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my thought.
It's quite a symmetry list because of the flamethrowers and the Doom Sparks on each side as well. Yeah, I like it as a list.
Could the flamethrowers go into the, or is it just the ignifiers that can go into the slaves?
Anyone who can shoot could go into combat.
Yeah.
But the ignifiers have got a special rule that they only wound your own units on 5s instead of 4s.
Oh, right, great.
So normally it's a 50-50 whether you hit friend or enemy.
Yeah.
Ignifiers only hit friend on a 5-up.
And monsters, that's perfect for strength 6.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Oh, right, great.
And who cares about killing slaves anyway? So.
Yeah.
Sorry, that sounds bad. Well, no, it's bad no matter how you look at it. Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah,
slave lives don't matter.
Doomspark shoots off the Nasher, so poor thing. And these ignifiers couldn't quite. Well, I think they failed a March test, so they didn't join the spider bombing.
Oh right,
and just killed 2 ferals, so that's fine. His general, who is in the outhouse model, is now looking at my ferals. So because I can't charge them, I am in a bit of trouble with ferals because that is a unit of Black Furs. So and I haven't got many ferals left. I've lost a lot of chip damage. So the slaves go and do 2 wounds to. No, sorry, that's wrong. The ignifiers do 2 wounds to the Gantler, which is actually not that terrible. Hitting on 5s, wounding on 4s. So
after some of the hits get distributed away.
Exactly, yeah. I think one slave died. So.
Again, more for me trying to understand Vermin. They would roll to hit, then once the hits either get distributed onto the model that they're shooting or the slaves.
Yeah, correct.
And
in this case, it was
you roll to wound.
Hit the slaves. Yeah, and then you roll to wound. Yeah,
sure.
And only 1 slave dies. So then into my turn because. The Gargantula winning 1 combat did enough to win combat.
Oh, nice.
Thunderstorm.
It's got a lot of attacks in it. 16 attacks plus
16 attacks plus Thunderstorm. Yeah, it's amazing. It easily can beat slaves even with strength in numbers.
Yeah.
And I jumped to the other side by passing a discipline test because obviously Tony couldn't move to the left because the ignifiers were there.
Sure. So that was
I won combat actually, so I didn't need to test.
I was going to say, yeah.
So I needed to remain in contact with 2 slaves. So I just jumped to the side and got further away from everything. In fact, I'm out of line of sight of the blackbirds now.
Because you being on the other side where he's done, he couldn't have got more in to stop you doing this. So
exactly, yeah.
You had to.
Yeah.
But I suppose he could have made you reform first, though.
He didn't pass his reform test.
Sure.
So, yeah. Well, I don't think he did. I don't know if he did one. Maybe it didn't occur to him. But yeah, actually, I don't remember. I don't remember whether he considered doing one or not. But he definitely couldn't move before me.
Sure.
So yeah. Into my turn, and I swift reformed and moved as far back as I could with the ferals, kind of backwards, so that the ignifiers were kind of in the way of his unit.
Sure.
Like so. I moved my Witch Doctor Chariot out of the units to be in range of magic for the ferals in case they need it. I don't think I've taken a single picture of my magic phase in this battle so far. But this is one. It's not a picture of a magic card, but Raven's Wing.
Oh, nice.
Actually, yeah, there's another thing in that picture. Scuttler has charged the ignifiers in the flank.
Yeah.
So we're facing the ferals. And I follow up in my magic phase by Raven's Wing. Go on.
Presumably they can't stand and shoot.
Who can't? Ignifiers. It's the flank. I was charging the flank.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Yeah. And I didn't know how Scuttler would get on. He's called Scuttler for the time being.
Yeah.
I didn't know how they'd get on. But in a flank against one ignifier, because I couldn't close the door anymore, because possibly the ignifiers were a bit too close to Tony's unit.
Yeah.
But anyway. So yeah.
But you've Raven's winged them back anyway, so
yeah, got them out of there. And Scuttler goes and wins the combat and runs down the ignifiers. So good lad. Good lad. And he's kind of chaffing the blackbirds as well.
Yeah.
So what a great result from him. He took his time getting into the position and did it. Going back to the combat, it looks like Tony has shifted over now, but I don't know.
He hasn't done any wounds.
Maybe he did shift over actually, because this is my turn, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be at the end of yours where you've done a load more.
Maybe he now has shifted over. Yeah, that probably makes more sense. And he didn't do any wounds to me, and obviously he hasn't shot into it. So I'm still winning combat though, so I'm not having to test on my stubborn, which is good.
Yeah.
I also put. It looks like I put Evil Eye. Well, no, I don't know what I put on the ignifiers, but anyway.
Yeah, that is Evil Eye.
Yeah. He does 1 wound with shooting in his next shooting phase with the ignifiers, because this is him moving. He basically just realizes he can't catch the ferals.
Yeah.
So I think we're running out of time as well for the battle, and so this is him trying to kill the Gargantula and not do much else really. I've run away with everything else. So
yeah.
He's also getting wheel turns off on the slaves, which is making my Gargantula's life a little bit difficult.
Yeah, really good.
And I am basically relying on getting good stomps, and I am getting good stomps. So, but even the stomps are wounding on 4s.
Yeah.
So, but I'm rolling well with it actually. And then last picture follows up with more shooting. I think maybe the Doomspike did 1, the Ignifiers did 3 more. The slaves failed to do any in the combat, and the Gargantula keeps his half points.
By 1 wound.
Yeah, by 1 wound.
Baby.
So yeah, there you go.
Well, what a game. And what a game to test out the vermin swarms, because really we don't have them much on our channel, do we?
No, we don't. And funnily enough, considering this is like my tournament prep for Orcs and Goblins, this has mainly been a discussion on vermin swarms.
Yeah, right. Great.
But I loved it. But it's kind of important because of the fact that Tony hadn't had much chance to read the book. And it was a 12-8 to me in the end. Not a lot died, but most of the points were on my side. No one won the objective because no scoring units died. But I think the main factor was that Tony really hadn't quite grasped vermin rules yet.
Sure.
And the only points Tony actually got off of me were ones that he got from blowing up the tunnels, which was wrong. So,
But not
Yeah,
too,
maybe-
not too
not
wrong.
too wrong. It
It's
didn't
just
kill much from
order.
it, but-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't matter because it was a friendly game. I definitely ended up knowing more about the Vermins than Tony did. Because I was reading it as it happened. And
I guess as well, I don't know whether that makes it good list design, but you can kind of see how, if that's right, and please Vermin Swarm Bayer and Marcus if you're watching, let us know how that list is designed. But it kind of to me gives the impression that these 60-man slaves are going up baiting charges, and if people charge them, they're just going to hold them up, just let them,
and then you
kill them and
bombs on them.
shoot them. Hope monsters go in, and if not, then the slaves just keep going up and chaffing and all that stuff.
Yeah, and wheel turns in combination is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and then you've got the Doom Sparks, Ignifiers, and the Flamethrower dudes.
Just decimate.
Just really, really going to town on the shooting. What's the magic setup again?
It was Thaumaturgy.
So Wrath of God, if anybody outranges you.
I don't think they can get Wrath of God with. No, you could with an adept. Maybe that one wasn't an adept. Maybe it was an apprentice. Apprentices can only get 1 to 4.
Sure.
Adepts can get 1 to 6. I think actually these ones might have been apprentices, so it could only get 1 to 4.
But still, yeah. So
Wrath of God wasn't a problem. It didn't get cast. It wasn't taken. So I imagine if he could, Tony would have taken it.
It's not a great one for you though.
No, it's quite spread out.
Yeah.
Quite spread out. Yeah.
But yeah, really interesting, and that's a good.
This battle actually made me go home and read the Vermin book more and want to play Vermins. Like I won't because I'm going to be playing Saurians for a while. This.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting book. Really like it.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Cool. So let me know your thoughts on how that went. I know this one's probably been another long one for me because I do talk. But really enjoyable. So thanks, Tony. Apologies that I seized on your inexperience with Vermins, but hopefully still a fun game. And yeah, those tunnel markers are something to watch out for.
Absolutely.
Because maybe I'll be fighting them again soon. Dun dun dun. We will see you after you've subscribed, after you've put lots of comments in, after you've joined Patreon, maybe if you find. And
you've liked and you've shared.
And all that lot. And yeah.
And we're ready in Cardiff to see you later.
Here we go.